As Keanu Reeves graces the stage of the Melissa Carter show, the audience anticipates yet another engaging and considerate conversation with one of Hollywood's most cherished figures. However, Melissa has no intention of engaging in a casual conversation. She has devised a strategy. Behind the scenes, editors meticulously craft their narratives. The inquiries are crafted to ensnare him, and the spectators have been meticulously chosen to pivot against him at the opportune time. This isn't a conversation, it's a trap. As Keanu settles into his seat, his face reveals nothing. Melissa beams, certain that she is on the brink of crafting the unforgettable moment of the year. Yet what she fails to see, Keanu has already recognized the trap, and in mere moments he will cleverly turn it to his advantage. Before we proceed with this narrative, please share your location with us. If you find tales like this captivating, consider subscribing to the channel. Tomorrow brings yet another captivating tale for you to enjoy. A Tuesday morning brought the arrival of the email. Keanu Reeves lingered in his kitchen, savoring a cup of black coffee while perusing his inbox. Amid the typical correspondence, movie schedules, invitations to charitable events, letters from admirers, one subject line caught my attention. Private invitation. A frank discussion on the Melissa Carter show. Keanu's gaze swept over the message. Melissa Carter, a prominent figure among talk show hosts in America. Her show, renowned for addressing contentious issues, was known for its incisive and calculated questioning, particularly aimed at conventional personalities in Hollywood. Keanu was far from naive. He understood the significance of this moment. He paused for a moment, savoring another sip of coffee, lost in thought. With a steady breath, he crafted his reply. I would be truly honored. In the studio of the Melissa Carter show, producers gathered around a whiteboard, brainstorming the ideal trap. Melissa rested against her desk, sifting through her cue cards. He's quite the vulnerable mark. Her producer, Jake, wore a sly grin. Is Keanu Reeves involved? Are you kidding me? That guy is adored by many. Melissa let out a dramatic sigh. That's precisely why it will succeed. To the world, he appears as a pure, unapproachable, kind-hearted individual. Yet, it's essential for Hollywood to progress. Fresh stories are essential. She flung a card onto the table. We'll depict him as antiquated, trapped in a bygone era, a remnant of a cinematic world that ought to be forgotten. Jake gave a slow nod. What if he goes along with it? Melissa wore a sly grin. We'll ensure that this clip captures everyone's attention and spreads like wildfire. On the day of the interview, Keanu emerged from his sleek black motorcycle, exuding an air of tranquility. A handful of crew members exchanged hushed words as he walked by, their expressions a mix of enthusiasm and doubt. The security guard at the entrance couldn't suppress a smile. Are you a big admirer, Mr. Reeves? Keanu offered a subtle nod. Thank you, my friend. Within the space, Melissa's team worked swiftly, arranging everything for the ideal capture. Cameras were fine-tuned, ensuring the audience comprised the perfect blend of individuals. Some devoted admirers, while others are poised to confront him. Each perspective was crafted to weave a story. What about Keanu? Keanu settled into his seat opposite Melissa, his hands resting neatly in his lap. Melissa welcomed him with a perfect smile. The camera's red light flickered to life. Keanu Reeves, it's a pleasure to have you here. And just like that, the snare was laid. Melissa leaned in slightly, her tone rich and welcoming, almost flawless. Let's begin with a simple task. What are your thoughts on the direction Hollywood is heading? Keanu offered a subtle smile, the familiar, serene expression that was characteristic of him. Yet, unbeknownst to everyone present, Melissa, the producers, and the strategically positioned audience members, Keanu Reeves had already pierced through their facade. In just a few moments, he would transform this interview into an unexpected twist that would catch them off guard. The studio was impeccably arranged. The cameras captured Melissa Carter and Keanu Reeves from perfectly aligned perspectives. The lighting gently caressed Keanu's features, bestowing upon him the aura of a timeless Hollywood icon, one that Melissa intended to unravel meticulously, layer by layer. Her producers positioned themselves behind the monitors, observing the feed with keen, discerning gazes. This was more than merely an interview. It was a carefully orchestrated scheme. And Melissa, she was on the verge of unleashing the trap. Melissa offered a radiant smile, one crafted to put her guests at ease. Keanu, I truly appreciate your presence here. It is a privilege. Keanu offered a subtle nod. The pleasure is all mine. His voice was steady, composed. The audience offered a gentle applause, the ambience remaining buoyant. Melissa inclined her body just a bit. Your career in Hollywood is truly captivating. You've portrayed a fearless champion, a compelling dramatic figure, and even a captivating romantic interest. And somehow, individuals just appear to cherish you. Keanu inclined his head ever so slightly. I consider myself fortunate. Melissa let out a soft laugh, shaking her head in amusement. Perhaps it's just fate. However, let's be truthful. You embody a distinct essence within the realm of Hollywood. A particular kind of masculinity. Keanu's demeanor remained unchanged. He sensed it deeply. The transition, the initial step. Melissa maintained a cheerful, almost whimsical tone. The landscape of Hollywood is evolving, Keanu. A transformation is occurring in the narratives that are being shared. The time of the invincible action hero, the stoic figure, seems to be waning. She halted, observing him intently. Do you believe individuals like you will continue to find relevance in the evolving landscape of film? Keanu reclined a bit. For a brief instant, the atmosphere in the room seemed to pause. Then a smile spread across his face. Indeed, narratives may evolve, yet core principles remain steadfast. Melissa's smile flickered. Principles? Keanu acknowledged with a nod. Bravery, devotion, advocating for justice and integrity. Those elements remain timeless. The manner in which we convey those narratives may evolve, yet the reasons behind their telling remain constant. The crowd moved ever so slightly. Melissa observed. She had to exert more effort. Melissa's smile grew strained as she sifted through her cue cards. She leaped forward. Let's skip the pleasantries. The moment for the true assault had arrived. Keanu, you've portrayed some of the most legendary action figures in cinematic history. Neo, the John Wick of his world. Figures that exude strength, courage, and authority. Isn't that precisely where the issue lies? Keanu lifted an eyebrow in curiosity. Melissa inclined her body closer. Do you not believe that such roles encourage a dated interpretation of masculinity? One that celebrates brutality, retribution, and a refusal to embrace weakness? The crowd fell silent. A few individuals nodded, softly expressing their concurrence. Onlookers exchanged glances, acutely aware of the escalating tension between Keanu and Melissa. The producers exchanged knowing smiles. This was the moment, the catchy phrase. If Keanu reacted with defensiveness, anger, or dismissal, they would have their viral moment. However, Keanu simply offered a smile. He cast a fleeting look at Melissa before shifting his gaze to the audience, his face a mask of ambiguity. In a serene and untroubled manner, he remarked, well, that's an intriguing perspective. A moment of stillness. Melissa inclined her body slightly, eager to engage. All eyes were on the stillness of the room. In just a matter of seconds, Keanu Reeves was poised to turn this entire interview on its head. The stillness lingered. Melissa Carter remained composed, anticipating a moment of uncertainty from Keanu Reeves, a sign of hesitation, a flicker of response. Yet he chose not to. In place of words, he offered a smile, a serene, untroubled grin, a single expression that held the significance of countless phrases. The crowd was captivated. The producers waited with bated breath. And then Keanu uttered his words. That's a fascinating perspective. His voice remained calm, resolute. Melissa arched an eyebrow, poised for him to elaborate. He certainly did. However, I believe that sharing narratives centered around bravery, selflessness, and safeguarding those dear to you is not harmful. Wouldn't you agree? Melissa's smile wavered, just a touch. The crowd moved subtly. He remained open and receptive. He felt no anger. He turned the question around to her. At this moment, she found herself compelled to respond. Melissa chuckled softly, concealing her unease. Absolutely not. However, the manner in which those values are portrayed in Hollywood. Let's get real, Keanu. Many of your films focus on themes of violence. Do you believe that has an effect? Keanu nodded thoughtfully, as though he were genuinely weighing her words. He leaned in closer, his tone gentle yet firm. Do you think narratives should cease to depict conflict? Melissa paused, uncertainty flickering in her mind. Keanu's demeanor remained unchanged. For if we eliminate every narrative that encompasses hardship, salvation, and indeed, even conflict, what remains for us? The crowd whispered softly. Melissa's eyelids fluttered. That's not my point. Keanu smiled once more. Yet this time, there was a sharpness to it. So what are you trying to convey? Melissa's team hurriedly moved behind the cameras. This was not unfolding as they had envisioned. Keanu was not conforming to the storyline. He refused to succumb to their scheme. Rather, he was prompting them to defend their own position. As he continued to speak, the audience's curiosity about Melissa's intentions grew stronger. Some folded their arms. Exchanges of glances occurred among them. Keanu witnessed it. Melissa did as well. She found it unappealing. Not at all. Melissa mustered another captivating smile, shifting in her seat. She sought to reclaim control of the dialogue. Thus, she changed direction. Keanu, your kindness and humility have always drawn admiration. Yet many of your characters confront challenges through physical means. Doesn't that seem contradictory? Keanu inclined his head ever so slightly. What could be the reason for that? Melissa's eyes fluttered. Keanu pressed on. Are you suggesting that those who embody kindness lack the ability to stand up for others? Bang. The crowd showed clear signs of engagement. Melissa lingered in silence. The producers were in a state of frenzy. It was time to transition to a commercial break. Yet, Keanu had more to offer. Keanu surveyed the audience, his voice remaining steady and composed. I grew up understanding that kindness and strength can coexist harmoniously. A moment of stillness. Standing up for what is right does not equate to being aggressive. It signifies your concern. Yet another moment of stillness. The atmosphere in the room had transformed entirely. Melissa was aware of it. Keanu was aware of it. In that instant, the dynamics of control transformed. Melissa's producers hurriedly moved behind the cameras, their whispers filled with urgency. They had to steer the dialogue to reclaim authority. However, the moment had passed. Now, Keanu had established the atmosphere. In just a matter of moments, he would push the boundaries even further. The room lay in stillness. Keanu's serene reaction surprised everyone. Melissa had anticipated uncertainty, irritation, perhaps even a sense of protectiveness. Yet, in the end, he offered her nothing at all. A mere smile. Only one sentence. And in a way that heightened the tension of the moment. Keanu leaned back a bit, maintaining his relaxed and composed demeanor. That's a fascinating perspective to consider. Melissa blinked, her gaze fixed on him, anticipating his explanation. Keanu clasped his hands in a thoughtful manner. However, my perspective diverges. Melissa maintained a calm demeanor, even as a hint of annoyance stirred within her. Oh really? How is that so? Keanu's voice held a softness, yet there was an unspoken depth beneath it. If safeguarding those we cherish, if advocating for what is just, if resisting oppression defines someone as harmful. He hesitated for a moment, then with the gentlest of shrugs, declared, I'm content to embrace my toxicity. A whisper rippled through the crowd. A handful of individuals acknowledged with a nod. Some shared hesitant looks. Even the producers observing from the control booth paused in uncertainty. This was not what they had anticipated. Melissa let out a soft chuckle, shaking her head slightly. What a beautifully expressed response. Keanu, let's discuss the facts. She sifted through her cue cards, her tone becoming more incisive. Your works, John Wick, The Matrix, Speed, all revolve around themes of conflict and action. A man who confronts his challenges through brute force and weaponry. Isn't that conveying the wrong impression? Keanu inclined his head, pondering her words. Stories delve deeper than mere surface events. Melissa scowled. Keanu inclined his body ever so slightly. What truly holds significance isn't the actions of my characters, but the motivations behind those actions. Keanu breathed out gently, as though he was selecting his forthcoming words with great deliberation. I grew up with just my mother by my side. The crowd fell silent. Even Melissa was taken aback, momentarily stunned by the unexpected change in atmosphere. Keanu pressed on. I spent my childhood observing her put in more effort than anyone else I knew, witnessing her challenges, her sacrifices, and her unwavering commitment to keeping me safe. A moment of stillness. She showed me that true strength lies beyond mere power. It revolves around accountability, about advocating for those who may not always be able to advocate for themselves. Melissa parted her lips, ready to reply, yet he still had more to say. And the individuals who guided me in the art of combat. The lesson was consistent across the board. True strength lies not in causing harm to others. His eyes fixed intently on hers. It's about understanding when to hold back. The atmosphere in the room was utterly tranquil. Melissa managed a laugh, yet it felt more fragile this time. A palpable shift in momentum enveloped her senses. Keanu was not conforming to the storyline she had crafted. He was taking it apart one fragment at a time. She cleared her throat, preparing to speak. What a lovely thought, Keanu. Ultimately, your films revolve around themes of retribution, brutality, and hostility. Shouldn't Hollywood be evolving beyond that? Keanu pondered her words. Then gently, I believe that Hollywood ought to embrace authenticity. Melissa scowled. Keanu waved his hand in the direction of the crowd. Viewers don't tune into John Wick merely for the action. His voice carried a deliberate, contemplative quality. They engage with it because they resonate with loss, they feel the weight of grief, and they share the instinct to safeguard what is precious. A moment of stillness. That isn't harmful. That's part of being human. The crowd moved once more. Melissa sensed it deeply. She was letting them slip away. Melissa felt her heart racing. She needed to take charge, and quickly. She cast a quick look at her producers, who were already gesturing for her to shift her approach. The situation was unfolding far from their original intentions. With a strained smile, she placed her cue cards aside. In that moment, she decided. A choice she would come to lament. She leaned in and asked, Keanu, do you truly believe that? Or is this merely another screenplay from Hollywood? The crowd inhaled sharply. What about Keanu? Keanu simply offered a smile. Melissa Carter had just committed her most significant blunder to date. The words lingered in the atmosphere. Keanu, is that truly what you think? Or is this merely another script from Hollywood? The crowd moved. A few whispered, picking up on the tension in Melissa's tone. The producers in the control room leaned in, their eyes fixed intently on the unfolding scene. This was the moment. Melissa had urged him forward. At this point, all that was left was for Keanu to take a stand. However, he remained completely unresponsive. Keanu remained composed, his face a mask of mystery. Then he released a gentle laugh. A script from Hollywood? He drummed his fingers softly on his knee, savoring the moment. Then, no, I believe truth doesn't require a script. Melissa's smile grew strained. Keanu locked eyes with her, his voice calm and measured. However, I believe that individuals occasionally confuse dialogue with conflict. The crowd fell silent. Melissa's eyes fluttered. Keanu pressed on. I arrived with the expectation that we would engage in a dialogue. He inclined his head just a fraction. It seems as though you arrived with a different intention in mind. Melissa felt a rush of warmth spread across her cheeks. A series of sharp intakes of breath echoed among the audience. This was not the intended outcome. She had to reclaim her power, and quickly. Melissa managed a laugh, though it felt more fragile this time. She grabbed her cue cards, rapidly sifting through them. She needed to adapt her approach. She needed to portray Keanu as disconnected, antiquated, and insignificant. Thus, she opted for an alternative method. Keanu, your journey in the industry has been nothing short of remarkable. She smiled effortlessly, her tone becoming sweetly charming. However, the landscape is evolving. Don't you think it's the perfect moment for fresh perspectives, untold narratives, and perhaps even different personalities? Keanu merely lifted an eyebrow. Melissa pressed on. Much discussion has arisen regarding seasoned stars making way for the upcoming generation. Do you believe it might be the right moment to follow suit? The crowd fell silent once more. Several gazes turned toward Keanu. All eyes turned to Melissa, grasping the weight of her implication. Her inquiry had nothing to do with Hollywood. She informed Keanu Reeves that his time had come and gone. The snare was laid. All she required was for him to fall for the lure. However, Keanu chose not to accept it. He just offered a smile. With a voice that resonated through the room, sending chills down the audience's spine, he began, "As a child, I learned that honoring those who paved the way for us is of utmost importance." A moment of stillness. It's intriguing how, in today's world, respect appears to be a matter of choice. Silence enveloped the room. Not one soul stirred. Even the producers in the control room paused their tasks. Melissa's smile faded. She attempted to laugh, yet it came out as strained. She sensed it deeply. She had been defeated. Keanu maintained a calm demeanor. He had not launched an assault on her. Yet he had skillfully turned her whole argument back on her. What about the audience? They had stopped sharing in her laughter. They were observing Keanu. Some of them were already taking out their phones, capturing the moment. Melissa took a deep breath, attempting to regain her composure. She cast a quick look at her producers, anticipating a cue, an escape route. However, the moment had passed. As Melissa grappled with the bewildering events that had just unfolded, the rest of the world stood on the brink of witnessing it all firsthand. That clip, it was swiftly gaining traction. The moment lingered in the atmosphere, reminiscent of a concluding note in a symphony, one that caught everyone off guard with its unexpected performer. Silence enveloped the studio. The crowd was captivated, some leaning in closer, while others raised their phones, eager to capture the moment. Melissa Carter's smile had dimmed, her meticulously crafted composure beginning to unravel. In her own show for the first time, she found herself not in control. What's even more frustrating, she was aware of it. Once the interview transitioned to a commercial break, the harm had already been inflicted. Within the control room, producers hurriedly exchanged commands, their voices rising in urgency. This requires editing before it goes live. It's already past the moment. It's already being shared by others. As Melissa Carter's team worked to manage the situation, the internet? It had already burst forth. In just a few moments, the clip spread across Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Popular hashtags emerged in no time. Respect for hash is non-negotiable. Hash Keanu remained unfazed. Hash Melissa Carter's exposed comment sections ignited a frenzy. Keanu effortlessly dismantled her argument with a single sentence, his voice remaining calm and steady. She stepped straight into it. She believed she could ensnare him, yet he turned the tables and left her feeling foolish. This is the way to navigate an unexpected attack. Utterly refined. In the moment, individuals responded, analyzing every instant of the experience. Influencers stepped in. Media organizations began reporting on it. And Melissa Carter. She found herself ensnared in the exact whirlwind of chaos she had expertly crafted for others throughout her career. In the studio, Melissa Carter's team was in a frenzy. Her assistant drew near, speaking in hushed tones filled with urgency. "Melissa, the clip is all over the place." Melissa tightened her jaw, managing a strained smile while she took a sip of her water. She envisioned this interview making waves. However, not in this manner. Not while she appears vulnerable. She had to resolve this issue. Quick. The show resumed after the commercial break, with the cameras capturing every moment. Melissa inhaled deeply and let out a forced chuckle, attempting to shift the atmosphere. Indeed, Keanu, that was quite an engaging exchange. Keanu simply smiled. Melissa faced the camera once more. Everyone, let's carry on this discussion in the digital space. Be sure to subscribe and, however, the moment had passed. As Melissa attempted to shift her approach, it became clear that her audience had stopped paying attention. They were engrossed in Keanu's words. At this point, silence spoke volumes. By the end of the night, the interview had captured everyone's attention. The headlines were saturated with it. The popular press seized upon it, analyzing the interaction in meticulous detail, piece by piece. Experts offered their insights. Some came to Melissa's defense, asserting that she was merely posing the difficult inquiries. However, what about the rest? People easily discerned the truth. She attempted to lure him in, and Keanu, in his signature style, transformed it into a profound lesson in humility. This individual has captured the hearts of many for a reason. He steers clear of these media antics. Melissa Carter misjudged him. She believed she could trap him. She lost sight of the person she was up against. What about Melissa? She was forced to witness the slow disintegration of her own reputation unfold before her eyes. For once, the narrative was not in her hands, and it was on the brink of becoming even more dire. The following morning, as Melissa Carter stepped into her office, her assistant stood ready, phone in hand. Her complexion was ashen. "Melissa, we seem to be facing an issue." Melissa let out a sharp breath, her fingers massaging her temples. "What comes next?" The assistant rotated her phone. "A fresh video has emerged." A reporter approached Keanu Reeves as he stepped out of a quaint cafe. The reporter raised the microphone and inquired, "Keanu, do you have any comments regarding the interview with Melissa Carter?" And Keanu simply smiled. In the most serene tone possible, he remarked, "Kindness is always in vogue. The video has concluded." Melissa Carter felt a heavy weight in her chest. In merely 6 words, Keanu conveyed it all. At this moment, she found herself powerless to intervene. Melissa Carter gazed intently at her screen. The video featuring Keanu Reeves has already exceeded 5 million views in under 24 hours. Only 6 words, merely 6 words. Kindness is always in vogue. And now, those words seem to permeate every corner. The buzz on social media was electric. A fresh hashtag has surfaced. Gentleness prevails. Twitter was inundated with memes. Images of Keanu beaming at Melissa during the interview surfaced alongside the instant he shared the phrase outside the cafe. A trend has taken TikTok by storm. In challenging moments, responding with kindness remains timeless. A transformation in culture unfolded. And Keanu, he wasn't even logged in. The attention of Hollywood was captured. Performers and filmmakers aligned themselves with differing viewpoints. Many have lauded Keanu for his exemplary character. Some came to Melissa's defense, arguing that she was merely fulfilling her professional duties. Yet, the choice had already been made by the public. Keanu Reeves didn't merely succeed in the interview. He triumphed in the discussion. And Melissa found herself on the unfavorable side of it. She would not be silenced easily. She created a video response. "I hold a great deal of admiration for Keanu Reeves, yet we must face the truth. This was taken out of context by his fans. I was simply fulfilling my responsibilities." She hesitated. Then she presented her unexpected turn. If individuals struggle with engaging in a bit of constructive discussion, perhaps the underlying concern isn't about masculinity after all. Perhaps it's delicacy. Bang. A bold effort to reshape the story. She pressed the upload button and paused, anticipation hanging in the air. Initially, her advocates erupted in applause. She is correct. Keanu remained silent, not responding to her inquiry. What is it about Keanu that makes everyone regard him as an unapproachable figure of virtue? Yet, a shift occurred on the internet. She didn't win the debate, and now she's pointing fingers at Keanu for his overly kind demeanor. In an instant, her scheme unraveled. On the following day, 3 sponsors withdrew. An urgent meeting was summoned by her network. A new email appeared in her inbox. Immediate attention required. Discussion regarding the direction of the Melissa Carter show. Her stomach plummeted. This was more than a fleeting sensation. This was a point of no return in one's professional journey. And she had exhausted all her options. Melissa Carter gazed intently at the email. Discussion regarding the show's future direction. Her throat felt parched. Her demean teetered on the brink, and it was all due to him, Keanu Reeves. As Melissa hurriedly gathered her thoughts. Is that you, Keanu? Not a single word had escaped his lips. No declarations. There will be no interviews conducted. He continued with his life as though nothing had transpired. And what about that? It only exacerbated the situation for Melissa. Whenever someone attempted to pull him back into the discussion, another would simply respond, kindness is always in fashion. The consensus online was already formed. Keanu emerged victorious. Is that you, Melissa? She was merely extending her inevitable demise. That afternoon, a journalist spotted Keanu outside a bookstore. Keanu, do you have any closing thoughts on the Melissa Carter interview? With a steaming cup of coffee in hand, he took a moment to reflect. Then he offered a smile. With his characteristic elegance, he remarked, I believe we ought to prioritize listening over speaking. A straightforward statement. Yet again, it proved to be sufficient. The video gained instant popularity. What about Melissa Carter? It marked the ultimate conclusion. Melissa Carter forged her path through incisive, bold interviews, challenging Hollywood's most prominent figures with pointed questions. She believed Keanu Reeves would be an effortless mark. She was mistaken. From the outset, she dominated the dialogue, urging Keanu to acknowledge that his depiction of stoic, resilient characters was no longer relevant. However, Keanu? He always resisted the temptation. In response, he spoke with a serene and deliberate tone, redirecting the dialogue towards her. With a single, straightforward sentence, he unraveled her entire assault. As a child, I learned that honoring those who paved the way for us was of utmost importance. It's intriguing how, in today's world, respect appears to be a matter of choice. The crowd moved. Melissa sensed it. She had relinquished her grip. In just a few hours, the interview exploded in popularity. Countless individuals analyzed each moment with precision. Respect is a discretionary hash. Keanu remained unfazed. Softness prevails. Subsequently, another video emerged. Keanu exiting a cafe, addressing a query regarding the controversy. What did he say? Kindness is always in vogue. That was the end. Individuals transformed it into memes, TikToks, and guiding principles for life. What about Melissa Carter? She found herself ensnared in the tempest. The criticism extended beyond the digital realm. 3 significant sponsors have withdrawn. The audience numbers dropped significantly. The network required immediate damage control. In her upcoming episode, she tackled the controversy head-on. I apologize if my words were misunderstood. It fell short of a complete apology. Yet it was the nearest she would ever come. And it was of no consequence, for the harm had already been inflicted. Her reputation never bounced back. In the months that followed, her show was subtly discontinued. In the meantime, what about Keanu? He just continued forward. Some conflicts are not resolved through combat. Certain battles are triumphed through quietude. Melissa Carter attempted to conceal Keanu Reeves. Instead, she immersed herself. And Keanu effortlessly demonstrated the most profound lesson of all. Genuine strength doesn't require a grand display. It simply has to be authentic.